Right. So we're going to talk about the cleft sentences. So this is really common in speaking. So we're going to find out what are the cleft sentences and the usage of that. So cleft sentence. When it comes to the cleft sentences, there are several ways to add emphasis. Emphasis means focus. So in this section, I'm going to teach you what kind of emphasis that we can get. So there are several ways to emphasis or focus on parts of your sentences in English by changing the word order. So this is what we're going to talk about. And cleft sentences are one way to add emphasis on what we want to say. So emphasis means that something like that, what kind of thing that you are focusing uh, in your sentences. So cleft come from the verb cleave, meaning to divide into two. So if we take a look at what is this word called cleft, cleft means something like that, cleave, cleave meaning divided into two. So the word cleft means divided or split. So this is what we're going to talk about today. A sentence is a sentence in which some parts is moved from its normal position into different place to give more emphasis. So this is the thing that we have to understand in this lesson. So for example, instead of saying Joe ate the cake, we could say it was Joe who ate the cake. It was Joe who ate the cake. So we can see here. So what has been emphasized? So this put the emphasis on the word Joe. This is cleft sentence. So it was Joe who ate the cake, and so in here we can find out the emphasis, right? So cleft sentences are used in spoken and written English, but they are more common in written English because we cannot use intonation in written English. Intonation is the rise and fall in the pitch of your voice when speaking. So when it comes to cleft sentences, it's probably you know more common in speaking as well as written English. So cleft sentences are divided into two clauses. Each clause has its own verb. So there are different types of cleft sentences. The most common types are it sentence pattern and W sentence pattern. So we have two kinds of cleft sentences. First one is it sentence pattern, and WH sentence pattern. We will be focusing on these two types of cleft sentences pattern in this lesson. So it cleft sentences. This is the basic pattern of it cleft sentences. It, be verb, subject, object, etc. You can use that, who, relative clause. As an example, it was the boy who, or you can use instead of who, that started the fight. So not you can use who instead of that when the subject is a person. So if you need to use a subject as a person, you have to use that one. And also, it is rain that cancels parrots, right? It is the secretary that I wish to thank. It was my mother who taught me to love. So if there's a personal pronoun in here, you have to use who. If it is something related, not related to the person, like in something like that, as an example, it is rain that cancels parrot, and you cannot use it is rain who cancels parrots. You cannot use that one. For you have to understand that one. So you can use other pronouns in the instead of it to make cleft sentences as well. Those were my books that you borrowed. That is my pencil that you brought. So when it comes to speaking spoken English, a lot of people trouble with using that. So what kind of places actually that we're going to use that? Likewise, that is my pencil that you brought. So you can use like one. So there's a guitar that I want to purchase. There's the guitar that I want to purchase. So we use cleft sentences to connect that what is already understood to what is new to the listener. So cleft sentences, let us focus on the new information. So that is the thing you have to understand here. Example: you meet my teacher, Mr. Jones, didn't you? No, it was Mrs. Smith that I met. So these are the structures and examples about that. In the second sentence, the focus is on the new information, Mrs. Smith, right? So the understood of information, old information, is that end of I met your teacher, right? So in this structure, you can clearly identify what kind of words that we have already focused on. So when it comes to the other example, I borrowed someone's book. So it was my book that you borrowed. So focus the new information. Focus means the new information is my book. So next one, understood information. So you borrowed someone's book. So this is what we have to identify from here. I borrowed someone's books. It was my book that you borrowed. Likewise. So examples, one more example. So you called me on Monday, didn't you? So we can say like, it was Tuesday that I called you. So focus new information Tuesday, understood, I called you. So this is how we have identified the focuses. So cleaving is employed to highlight in the different part of a sentence. Example: John stole a book from the library last week. So who stole the book from the library? It was John who stole the book from the library. So emphasis on the subject. That is how we're gonna make the structure, right? So when it comes to this one, John stole a book from the library last week. So we can ask a question: who stole the book from the library? So we can emphasize some who the subject, the one who did this theft. Like, it was John who stole the book from the library last week. So if we need to focus only the action, we can ask a question like this: what did John steal from the library? It was a book that John stole from the library last week. So we can differentiate this structure according to the focusedness. So if it is a person or who did that, so we can ask it was John. So that should be the answer. And it was a book that John stole from the library last week. So when did John steal the book? So if we need to focus on the time period or duration or something like that, so we can go with it was last week that John stole the book from the library. Emphasis on the adverb of time. So from where? So when it comes to that, emphasis on the the press, like that. So it was from the library that John stole a book last week. You can clearly identify the structures and clearly identify the variations that when it comes to the spoken English, we gonna the cleave these sentences exactly. So this is really essential part in spoken English. Unless you get plenty of difficulties to communicate with people. So at the end you can understand. So when it comes to the emphasis on subject, so it was then the subject must be here. And if we need to emphasis on the object, we have to go with this one. And also if we need to emphasis on the adverb of time, we have to use of course in here. And also emphasis on prep and the phrases and places. Likewise, you can go with like this. So in informal situation, we sometimes leave out that cleft sentences. The informal situation, we don't say that. So you can use instead of that, it was Mr. Smith that I met. Instead of that, it was Smith I met. You can use like that. So those were my books that you borrowed. Instead of that, you can go with those were my books you borrowed. And it was Tuesday that I called you. So you can go with it was Tuesday I called you. So emphasis is put on a pronoun. Two options are available: the formal and the informal. It is he who has taken the initiative, right? So it was him that has taken the initiative. So informal and formal, you can. So instead of he, you can go with the him. right? So but if you need to make it clear like formal structures, you can go with the subject pronoun. Is it it is I who want to move, that's a formal way, and you can say it is me that wants to move, so that's the informal way. So cleft sentence can also be negative sentences as well. So you can just identify here examples. It wasn't Mr. John that I met. It wasn't not those boys who started the fight. It wasn't Monday that I called you. That is not the guitar I wanted to purchase, and those were not my books you borrowed. Uh, so I have given you an exercise so you can clearly identify in here. Rewrite the following sentences, emphasis on the underlined in the form and it cleft sentences. Right. So this is what you have to do. My brother gave the book to Ryan yesterday. So you can say that it was. Likewise, you can start with that. So if you need to practice it, you can screenshot and practice it at your home. Okay, our next one is WH cleft sentences. So we call it pseudo cleft sentences, right? So pronunciation is that pseudo. So WH cleft sentences are also sometimes called pseudo cleft sentences. In pseudo cleft sentences, emphasis focus is usually placed at the end of the sentence. So at the end of the sentence, that is what you have to understand here. So this is the basic structure of WH pseudo cleft sentences. So when it comes to the structure, you have to go with that what clause and the be verb, emphasize word or praise. So these cleft sentences begin with WH words such as what, why, where, and words all, the thing, something, one thing, likewise. So you can go with that. So in WH cleft sentences, the understood all the information is at the beginning of sentence rather than the end of the sentence. The focus new information is at the end of the sentence. So this is what you have to understand from here. So when it comes to here, examples, what do you need? So you can say that what I need is something to drink. So this is how you have to reply. So in the second sentence, the focus is on the new information. I need something to drink. The understood information, the old information is that the beginning, I need something. So this is how you have to identify in here. Examples, what do you want? The one thing I want is to be rich. So focus, the new information is what I want to be rich. Understood information, I want something. So when it comes to the other one, what do you want for Christmas? All I want for Christmas is you. I think there's a song related to this phrase and sentence. Focus new information. I want you. Understand understood information. I want something for Christmas. Uh, so more for pseudo cleft sentences. WH clefts. What I need now is a cup of tea. So the other one is the first thing I notice about the people is their smile. What's really important to me is my family. All she was trying to do was earn his respect. The one thing I love the most is ice cream. So this is how you have to give your answers. And these are the main structures that can be seen in English language as well as when it comes to speaking word. And more examples to study, you can go with this one. So identify the information emphasis and pay attention to word order. I did everything. So it was me who or that did everything. We need action, not words. It is action what that we need, not words. What we need is action, not words, or all we need is action, not words. So instead of these these structures, you can use different structures as well. And I want a cup of tea. It is a cup. It is cup of tea that I want. What I want is a cup of tea. All I want is a cup of tea. The one thing I want is a cup of tea. So exercise. So you can do these things like for each of the sentence below, write a new sentence as similar as possible in meaning to original sentence using suggested words. So we just need 5 minutes to fix, right? So you have to make your own sentence now. So you can take a screenshot related to this. So that would be very easy for you to understand. and make your answers as well at your home. So not you have to understand this one. In highlighted action, we use form do in WH clause. So the highlighted phrases usually contain bare infinitive or to infinitive. You guys know about that one, that infinitive verbs. If the highlighted verb is in the continuous or perfect, the form of do matches it. My brother scolded me fiercely. So what my mother did was to scold me fierce. So that works for software company in Canada. What Dan does it to work for a software company in Canada. Not that that is too optional. The boys are taking Sandy to the match. What the boys are doing is taking Sandy to the match, right? Please, you can screenshot this one and practice this. So this one as well. So that would be very easy for you to understand and practice your, practice your and get a kind of different ability while you are practicing, right? Okay, so this is what we have talked about in this lesson. Cleft sentences, pseudo cleft sentences, and it cleft sentences likewise. So I guess that you can understand this lesson, right?